Get in your stirrup and pass me the syrup because we love Europe here on Hotline League episode 77. That's right. After last week's episode, we got a 50% dislike ratio on YouTube, and we are European fans now. All right, I've message received. We are not allowed to share opposing opinions. Europe is the best. That country, everything, all the countries, they're all the best. We love it. Brexit is a tragedy. Episode 77. Please forgive us. Go if you're European, please go like the video this time. Of course, I want to give a shout out. As much as we love Europe, we also love Alienware. They're our sponsor for the show. Amazing stuff. I'm gonna talk about them a little bit in a bit. But first off, let me go ahead and introduce my constant co-host, Mark Zimmerman. Mark, how are you doing?
Great.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that last episode. Don't know what we talked about. Don't know why anyone would be upset about it.
Well, you can go to the YouTube comments. Apparently, we offended some people. They were not.
I went to the comments. I didn't think they were that bad, to be honest. I mean, like.
Well, when you pair them with the dislike ratio, my channel average is like 96% likes, or maybe 98%. I forget, somewhere up there. And this one had 50% likes.
Have you ever considered the possibility that it was just a bad episode? Maybe it was just outright bad, and it had nothing to do with
That's not why people were disliking it.
You don't. I don't know. I would need to see some data that says it was the content itself and not the production around it or something like that.
Well, for me, I think back and I just know that Europe has always been the better region, and please don't fuck my YouTube algorithm.
You know why Europe sucks? Because I don't own any of their team's merch.
Yeah.
I bet my
wish
opinion
we could own their team's merch.
I bet I would love Europe if suddenly like some G2 merch ended up on my head instead of this 100 Thieves merch.
Yeah,
shirt.
And they're superior teams. We love them. That's why we want.
You know what? I DM'd Ocelot, and he didn't reply.
Yeah, he
publicly
yes. On Twitter, he said he'd send you stuff, but then privately, apparently not.
Nope. I don't know if he has like the check marks on or off, so I don't know if I was left on red, but I'm gonna say I was left on red.
Yeah.
Because that sounds more. It makes him look worse, and that's what I'm all about: pressuring people into giving me merch.
Yes.
Misfits and Fnatic, I won't turn it down. Origin as well, but I'm really looking forward to the G2 merch.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's talk about some League of Legends. So there's actually a decent amount of stuff to talk about this week. I don't know how much of it will be Resident Sleeper to the chat, because some of the stuff that always fascinates me is less interesting to.
That's why I have these glasses this week, is so I can
fall asleep. Well, ProView. That's actually I'm curious what your take is going to be on that. We'll talk about. Actually, why don't we? I'm curious what you can maybe give your briefer, and then if more people want to call in about ProView. But what was your reaction when you saw it?
Cool. I mean, like, I think people have always been asking for monetization of the league somehow, and always looking for more features. And this is like kind of both. I know every team is going to buy it. Every analyst is going to buy it. Every content creator is going to buy it. Yeah, I don't know how many fans will buy it. I hope a lot of fans buy it. I think it's a cool idea. I don't know. You have a hotter take other than like, meh?
No, I mean, I think it's cool. It's funny because I was, what was it? Peter Doublelift was over this weekend, and we were joking about whether or not he wanted it. He was playing auto chess, and a bunch of people were watching, and we were memeing about how fun it is when you're gaming and a bunch of people are giving you advice. And he said, dude, I've been playing League of Legends for 10 years. I've had, hundreds of thousands, millions of people backseat gaming me in Reddit comments and Twitch and Twitter. I'm immune to this stuff now. And I said, well, don't worry. Now they're going to do it even more, because anytime you mess up, some content creator or Redditor is going to find the misplay of your screen where something went wrong and clip it out and put it on there. Like, oh, Doublelift, had this, the stuff that's easily missed, I think will now be hilariously brought to the forefront. On the other hand, it'll be cool because whenever somebody makes a crazy play that like doesn't really get translated well on stream, or people you can't really break it down really quickly, it's excited to sort of see. I feel like this does open up a new level of analysis for people like Loco Doco. I would say yourself, but you're too busy to create additional content.
Well, I was gonna say I'm very happy this came out after the Blame game, so I didn't need to put the extra effort in to rewatch any specific play from a player's perspective. It makes it much easier to not have to do that.
I mean, my question is whether or not is this a good product if nobody buys it? I'm actually curious about, because is there a world where it opens up so many additional content opportunities and so much additional conversation and all that, where to the extent where you like they should just like they keep supporting it, right? Because that would be the concern, is what if this doesn't stay supported if people aren't buying it enough? Like what if it's only generating like a couple thousand a month for the league and they decide it's not worth it anymore? I hope that they would keep doing it just because the content opportunities would be so good.
Yeah, I think I wonder if it would be somehow packaged and presented differently then.
Yeah.
Like make third-party media and teams and people pay for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That seems weird. That's kind of circular.
Well, yeah, I don't know either. It's you don't necessarily want to charge your content creators because
everyone's just passing money in a circle then.
Right. Yeah.
Kinda,
yeah. But I think it is exciting. I'm glad they're doing this. By the way, I know sometimes we take it for granted that people know what this is. ProView is a new product where you can pay, you get access to distinct streams, so you can watch from a certain player's perspective. So, for instance, if you wanted to watch Xmithy, you can just like literally that's your stream, as you get to watch Xmithy all the way through. I think you get access to VODs of all that content, and I believe they've even got some extra features like they sort of you can look in the stream timeline of when major events happen. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm forgetting, but that's mostly it, right, Mark?
From what I understand, yeah, it's just like a specific player's point of view with a couple almost like spectator view,
right,
or spectator client type features attached to it.
And it's $15 a split, although I believe that number goes down over the period of the split because you will be getting less content, presumably less value. You don't want people to stop paying because it's halfway through. But I don't know. There were some people that were talking about the price. I feel like $15 is not that insane. If people don't feel like there's enough value there, then yeah, I guess they won't buy it. But in my mind, like you compare it to pretty much most traditional sports packages where you actually have to pay just to get access to the game, I think $15 is pretty tame. And I think anything less would potentially make it really hard to make the product worth it, because the amount of people that will buy this, I do think, will be a smaller subset.
Yeah, people, I guess in chat were mentioning Overwatch League offering a little more. So there's some concern. It's not about the price point, but maybe what you're getting out of it.
Yeah, but in one you're getting Overwatch, the other one you're getting League.
Good point. There's also the Team Pass and League Pass things.
Yes, there is that. So it's similar to when you buy like the MSI package or the Worlds package, where you get like a bunch of quests and stuff to do in game. I think some of the quests or missions, I keep wanting to say quests. The missions are
not Hearthstone over here, dude. Come on.
Yeah. I was thinking of Heroes of the Storm, Mark, the superior MOBA, wildly successful.
I thought, did they put that under? Did they take it out back yet?
Yeah, it's on live support. But so it's similar. I think you get credit for also watching it. You get some team branded stuff in the game. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know how much better it's going to do. I think that one ProView is whatever. I think what they could have added some more would have been nice. By the way, if these two products were merged together somehow, where you could buy both for like $30. You get a team thing and or team pass and the in-game stuff or whatever. I think it's weird to release two products and then not have like a bundle for them, but I think it's still a good opportunity. It's like not a lot compared to what we've seen other leagues do in terms of support for the teams, but I'm happy to see this because I think for a long time the most we ever saw were like obviously the World Championship skins, and then um, the icons in game. And I think this is a much better setup. So I'm excited about that. Looking forward to seeing how people feel about it over the course of the call.
Maybe we'll
Jesse,
get that.
Jesse, you can call in if you want. You should do that if you want to be on the show before you start your new gig. NFL gets like 100 times the viewership of okay, whatever. Anyway, so there's that. What other news broke? Golden Guardians just announced their new Academy roster, which features some familiar formerly CLG faces and Darshan and Huhi. And I believe Huhi is going support, correct? Did you catch this, Mike?
I didn't catch that actually.
Okay.
Was it on the front page?
Yes, it's on the front. They announced it, I think, a couple hours ago. It's Darshan, Hard, Palafox, FBI, and Huhi. And Huhi's in the support position. Obviously, Darshan up top. So that's interesting. Yep. They kept their main roster. Greg and Acadian sharing time together.
Saw that one.
That's cool. What else? Europe continues to be amazing. We love them.
The Quas news or the Quas story finally broke. Quas opened up about it.
Yeah, so I did not dive in on that. But I don't. Do you want to provide the context?
I mean, if someone wants to talk about it, I don't know really what a fan would have to say about it. But yeah, Quas finally had a post, I think, on his Facebook about what happened between the 2015 and 2016 season that resulted in him kind of getting suspended from the team. And so he talked about it. It's a pretty crazy story.
Yeah. Drug use. I read online that some people have been given micro dosages of MDMA to help with depression, maybe anxiety. I managed to find some time to try that. This is kind of an interesting story. So that was up 6 days ago on the subreddit for people who want to talk about it. Mobile version of League of Legends. And it's not directly related to esports, but it's relevant enough that I think we can talk about it.
Game 2? Is it Game 2, technically?
I don't know. I get the feeling Game 2 will be...
Rift Rivals is officially in LA now.
Yes.
Right? That came out
I think
too.
that got announced before.
It says 6 days ago.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think a bunch of people knew, but it wasn't public.
I mean, I talked about it previously on the show that I had heard it was in LA, so...
Right, I know you had said that, and then I didn't confirm or deny.
The Optic and Immortal stuff, I don't think that, like, everyone's bringing this up, but that story has been talked about for a long time. The new conversation is around whether or not, or the idea that, or not the idea, but supposedly there's like a $20 million loan that's due on the 31st.
Like they're in debt or something.
Yeah.
How much?
And so Immortals would have to do that, and also that Immortals, I think it was new news that Immortals would be killing the Optic brand. Now, the only thing I want to say, and I mean no disrespect to the author, but it is just on a Medium post, and the only thing that concerns me there is that somebody posting something to a personal Medium doesn't necessarily mean that it's going through the same, like, editing process and investigation or in-depth.
You don't have to answer to anyone necessarily for Medium posts.
Yeah, exactly. And whenever we got news of something like that, or at a lot of different places where you have something like that happen, you go through this editing, the editors like, what's the deal with this, blah blah. There's a bigger conversation, so that's why I'm a little skeptical, or I take it with a grain of salt more than I would if it was being reported by ESPN or somebody. Yeah, I mean, I think
also the season's starting just generally, so like what people think are going to happen is 100 Thieves finishing 10th again? Is CLG making playoffs with Rune? Is TL going to smash? Are they going to do terrible? Will TSM do even better now that they're going to have a faster start probably? Or maybe they'll be even slower because they're swapping people around. There's all that good shit too.
June 1st, this weekend. And unfortunately, we're kicking off before the Superior LEC starts, so... if you're waiting for the better league to start, I love you, Europe. That will be. This is what you can watch in the meantime. Anyway,
Watch some monkey knife fight stuff happen in NA before you watch your big brain Galaxy
LEC,
League.
the superior,
Yeah.
and by the way, I know this might be a bold statement, Mark, but I do think the 10th place team in Europe could beat Team Liquid. I just want to put that out there. I think
it
that's how good they are.
depends.
Yeah.
I think in best of 1, Team Liquid might have a chance, but in the best of 5, there's no way they can take 3 games off them.
I mean, yeah. That's LEC. They're just superior. We're just their farm league. Please like this video. All right. Shall we grab the first caller?
Sure. First, I'll give a little rundown because I haven't read anything people have been writing, and this is a good way to stall.
Yeah.
If you guys have never seen the show before, where this happens on Discord, I just spam Twitch chat with the Discord link. Go ahead and click it and join. Once you get here, join pleb calls or pleb calls to voice channels. Mute your microphone once you are in there. And then in the pleb topics or subtopics text channel, you'll go ahead and put whatever your take is. Ideally, you're writing. I think 100 Thieves will bounce back and actually finish in playoffs. And then, we can talk about it. Don't just say, I want to talk about 100 Thieves. Try and include what your actual opinion is so I know what you want. And then if we like your topic, we'll pull you into the waiting room where you'll hang out until it's your turn to come on. There I'll do a quick mic check, and assuming everything's good to go, you'll be on air talking with us.
Yep. All right. While Mark is grabbing folks, I want to give a couple shout outs to some people who subbed. Thank you, everyone who is subbing. We're trying to keep the subs active on this channel. Case Blinn, Slyant, Robot Russ, H. for 21 months. Holy crap. I think that's getting up there. He or she might be the highest sub. Jade Church is clutch. Thank you for the 8 months. Soju Ninja for 1 year. Schleppard for 16. Gucci maybe for 8. Cygnus X4 for 6 months. Brawler Yukon 9 months in a row. Best Dev NA. Stahil for 13 months. Nuko 111 hit streak. Jesse, formerly of Blizzard, now officially
I'm gonna add
joining.
him to the waiting room, even though I don't think I've seen him post, but he's in here, so I assume that means he wants to talk.
Zingblob, thank you for the prime. E46 Koi for the 7 months in a row. King David 5610 for the 2 months, and Blackout 3000 9 months. Subwoofer, thank you everyone for the subs. If you are a sub, by the way, be sure to sync with Discord. It gives you access to the subtopics chat where you can put your topic in there. It moves a little slower, so it might be worth it to do that. Either way, I'm in a great mood, Mark.
Why are you in a great mood?
I just thought my birthday party was really fun. You were there. Did you enjoy it?
That's true. It was cool.
And when Mark says something's cool, that it's amazing because he loves to just trash on everything. Twitch chat, I'm sorry, I sent all of you invites. So if you didn't get them, you might want to check your spam folder. But you were all invited to the birthday party, and I'm curious what you got me. Because you were invited, and if you didn't attend, it means that you probably should get me a Twitch sub. Or sub to my channel. Because, what are you doing otherwise? Come on.
Okay, all right, well, I don't have the best topics right now, but we'll start it out.
Corey Lulu was at my birthday party, actually. This is a true story. I invited him and he showed up. Hitstreak gifted 5 subs to the channel. See, that's how you get on the show. He's going to be on the show later because he gifted. And then Steheel immediately gifted 5 subs. Let's go. 10 subs. Senpai, please. Thank you for the 6 months.
You know what's weird, Travis?
Yeah.
When I move channels, I still hear you saying shit.
Oh, yeah, because of the Skype. That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't talk shit on Mark anymore whenever he leaves the channel.
Well, I mean, I'd rather that than just hearing subs read into my ears as I'm trying to mic check
yes.
Red Whale.
Abusive Pie, thank you for the 12 months. Look, I could read subs right now while you're trying to talk. We got our first caller on. Red Whaler. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. Did we meet when I visited?
No, I tried to find you. I couldn't make it to the Hotline League, so.
Okay.
No, we didn't.
Well, then, we kind of got what you deserved. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Ouch. I wanted to talk about my opinions on Echo Fox and how they're going to do in the summer split.
Okay,
So-
I'm excited. Go for it.
So, my general thesis, I guess, is I actually think Echo Fox is in a really good position to be a top 14 for summer, thanks to the meta shifts that MSI kind of hinted that we might be seeing, as well as I think underrated solo lanes and jungle potential, as well as their overall team balance. I think is very similar to Invictus in some ways, and although Invictus kind of let us down at MSI, I think they generally still have a very strong meta read. So I think Echo Fox is similar in those ways.
They finished. Did they finish 6th last split?
They finished 6th. Yeah, they
Yeah.
lost 3-1 to TSM.
Right.
First round of.
Well, so you think, and you, where do you, sorry, one more time, where do you think they'll finish?
I think they're in the best position to make it top 4 and probably beat out FlyQuest. I'm kind of on the same train as everybody else in that I think it's really hard to break into the top 3 at the moment, but I do think as well that Echo Fox beat Team Liquid at the end of last split and Cloud9 actually. So there's some outside chance they even break into the top 3, although that's really hard to predict. Top 3 is pretty solid.
Well, what do you think, because you want to see them knock down FlyQuest in this scenario, but FlyQuest might have got an upgrade with Wadid.
True. I generally just think so. Yeah, I do think FlyQuest is the one team that they're most likely to beat, and the reasons why are basically that. So this is kind of funny. When I was sort of preparing this topic, I was also watching your Rush interview that you released earlier today, and he talked a little bit about what's coming up in the summer. It didn't give me the most confidence because it did kind of run counter to the arguments that I was going to make, which is that like some of the MSI meta will carry over, and things will be more fast, aggressive. Early skirmishes will determine more of the games, which I think Rush is shown that he has the potential to be one of the best at in a meta like that, as well as Phoenix. But I'm going to that a little bit later. So I think if they're to beat FlyQuest, I think Phoenix has to perform more consistently, because I think when he performs at his best, he is better than Pobelter. I think Rush has to, and this is why I brought up the interview, I think I want Echo Fox to be playing him on more early game aggressive junglers like Camille, like Lee Sin, like junglers we know he's good at, that can impact the games early, get solo snowballing, and get Phoenix snowballing. Because I think Solo showed us a little bit last split that he can carry or, snowball effectively if he's put on champions like Akali, and there wasn't a lot of Silas play there, but as well as Phoenix. So that's, I think in those ways they can kind of tackle FlyQuest. I think they have a higher ceiling than FlyQuest, and the meta actually suits them a bit better.
Mark, a lot of people in Twitch chat are skeptical of this take. I am curious what your impressions are.
Throw me in with Twitch chat.
Okay.
I think the thing that's actually more skeptical to me than top 4 is comparing them to IG, because I don't think that's a great comparison. I mean, I understand some of what you're saying, like Phoenix is relatively feast or famine. Rush is more early game oriented, but I don't think Solo really falls into that. I think Solo has been improving over time, and he's like, for the first split that he came in, a lot of people were like, ha, Solo, why'd you get him? But now I think he's pretty good. But he's never been like, people talk about strong side players. Like, he's never been a strong side player where like you're ganking for his lane, he's getting a lead and jamming it down your throat. He's on like Gnar and GP and kind of just absorbing pressure. And then they actually more often than not play around their bot lane. So I don't think, I don't see the comparison between the Shy and Solo at all. I don't even see the connection between Jackie Love, Baolan, and Apollo and Hakuho, because they're actually a lot more stable, whereas sometimes Baolan and Jackie Love like go crazy.
Yeah.
I actually don't think Echo, like, I think the mid jungle comparison, like I was saying, I can see it a little bit, but what makes IG unique is like that's how every single lane is, and I don't think the other two, the side lanes, are like that. So I can kind of agree that Echo Fox might have a better summer split. I can see that. I personally don't think they will, but like I think the IG comparison doesn't work for me.
So I think what I'll say about the IG comparison is I definitely agree that comparing Solo and the Shy is like, that's a huge stretch to make. I get that, although I would say that the Shy at the moment might be a little overrated because of his MSI performance, but he's clearly, you know, an amazing player, one of the best in the world, and Solo doesn't have the pedigree to compete with that. I do think, though, the comparison that I wanted to make with IG was almost more in the team balance perspective, which is that I think they have a very inconsistent mid laner and jungler and a very consistent bot lane and top lane, which I think we've seen how teams that have 3 resource heavy lanes can be very hard to control. And I think the fact that Apollo and Hakuho are as solid as they are, and Solo has shown the ability he can absorb pressure, I'd like to see him be put on carries more just because I think that's what the meta favors. That's sort of up to Echo Fox, support staff to determine whether or not that's the best thing that they can do. I think he showed a little bit of it at playoffs. But generally what I think is, I think they do play to the bot side more than Invictus does. And I almost think they shouldn't do that, even though that is how they had some of their success in the latter half of the spring split. But generally what I would say is the comparison to Invictus only goes as far as very strong early game jungler, the ability to carry through mid, and to some degree the ability to carry through top lane. Although, like I said, it only shows in like these 1 or 2 playoff games that we saw from Solo there at the end, and then a consistent enough bot lane that doesn't actually need to be too resource heavy. Otherwise, it would take resources away from the other 2 lanes.
I mean, I kind of hear what you're saying about like play style in terms of jungler allocation, but like, I mean, for IG, what really stands out to me more so than jungler proximity stats is like champ pool and kills per minute and dives and stuff, and that's not at all what Echo Fox is most known for. So I don't know. I agree to disagree, I guess.
I just see. I kind of hear what you're saying, but I also just feel like it's going to be hard with FlyQuest making an upgrade. Like, just thinking about the structure of LCS, like, I think 100T has a real chance to bounce back. They do have good players, and I do think that, you know, some people are skeptical of Saligo, but there's a chance that we see them enter the playoff race, which I think could make it harder for a team like Echo Fox to move up in the rankings. I think FlyQuest made the upgrade. I think Golden Guardians is still really solid, and I don't see any new. It's not like they downgraded their roster or anything. So I just feel like there are a lot of other factors at play that could prevent Echo Fox from going where you expect them to go, even though Mark is wearing their shirt today.
Yeah, notice that.
Yeah. Either way, thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to say on the way out?
No, I love the show. Sad I didn't get to see you in St. Louis. Maybe I'll see you some other time. But
Yes.
otherwise, keep it up.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, on to the next caller. I want to give a quick shout out to Senpai Please for 6 months, Siege Heat for 2, Milan Squirrel for 14 months, and Pizza Rat 87 for 4 months. How come Mark is wearing a hat the week after you and Kelby make fun of his new haircut? I don't know. I think it's because he got the hat. He can hear me right now, so it's very awkward. I'm gonna whisper so he doesn't have to talk over me. Oh, the biggest.
I heard that. People think I'm making fun of my hair. I don't give a fuck.
The biggest cow is here.
I just wore it because I was gonna wear it for day drinking when I go up.
Great, fantastic. Biggest cow. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New Jersey.
New Jersey?
Yes.
All right. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
I believe that 100 Thieves will improve, but not as much as I want to. I think they'll only place 4th or 5th, not making it to Worlds.
I mean, from last place to 4th or 5th is still really good. I can't. I feel like this is not the hottest of takes if you're like, 100 Thieves won't make Worlds, but they might get 4th or 5th.
Well, I think even that could be a hot take. They're the 10th place team, and they made like, you know, not great moves.
Yeah.
Like,
I think yes.
amazing.
That's what I mean. Like, I think that's the hot take. But if the crux of it is they're not going to make Worlds, I don't see that being as big.
Well, I watched the newest episode of Heist Day, and like the first thing Nadeshot said, he was like, "I'm excited to make Worlds this split." Like he was just really pumped to make Worlds, but like they honestly have no shot. I feel like I feel like first and third are like on lock with TSM, Cloud9, Team Liquid.
Yeah. So they start off the heist with him saying we're gonna make worlds.
Yeah.
Well,
What else you gonna say?
Mark, it's a good thing you took the hat off. Is what I think I'm gonna say right now.
It's coming back on.
Yeah.
So,
please just give us the synopsis of the heist. That's what the next 20 minutes will be.
Well, so I believe that that was basically it. They just talked a heist. They just talked about how they believe they'll make worlds and how new changes are coming. But I think they'll easily be able to beat CLG, like Optic, all the low tier teams. But with Echo Fox and FlyQuest, like they'll be like the biggest challenge. But I think with Amazing, he'll actually be able to have like top lane or bot lane win, which is just good enough to honestly beat FlyQuest or Echo Fox in my opinion.
So, Mark, the interview I did with DeMonte, he said he felt like 100 teammates side grades. I think he referenced he expressed concern that he likes Saligo and that he had worked with Saligo in scouting grounds, but he felt like this was too soon for him to move up to the LCS side. And he expressed concern that it might be bad for Saligo's career, right? If he comes in, doesn't look good, and he might wash out. So it is kind of weird to hear the take that like this is now going to be a world's caliber team, especially because we don't know. I mean, 100T would know more than us, I think, but it did feel like the formula what was wrong last split, not necessarily a single player or two players even. So,
right. Well, that's why I want to ask Twitch chat right now. Do people feel like 10th place 100 Thieves was them living up to their potential? You know, is the general opinion of the populace that like 100 Thieves was 10th place? They deserve 10th place based off the player skills. For the most part, it's unanimous no. Changing out 20% of your roster, Travis, is a pretty good amount. That's 40%.
Wait, 20% is 40%?
If they change out 2 players, it's 40% of a roster turnover.
Yeah, you said they changed it. Never mind.
I don't know what I said, but now I'm going to
I understand what you're saying.
They almost changed the majority of their roster. So if the problem was synergy and not player skill, side grades can theoretically unlock their potential.
That's true.
So like,
I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying look, if we were in a situation where we were saying, wow, they were really held back by their jungler. That was the issue. They were a great team, but they got 6 because their jungler was ending every game. Then okay, this team perhaps, now that they've solved that problem, they can make it to Worlds.
Are you asking if I think they're going to make it to Worlds? Because neither the caller or I think that.
I'm just, Nadeshot thinks it. That's what I was referencing.
Nadeshot's in a video for his team hyping them up. He might not even think that. You don't know what he thinks. Get him in a dark corner and ask him what he thinks. Get him liquored up and ask him what he thinks.
Well, I invited him to my birthday party, but he didn't show up. So
he was too busy
people
getting
think,
the number true.
In fact, I invited a lot of people from 100 Thieves. None of them showed up. John Robinson.
They were too busy getting number 2 on trending on YouTube for announcing Courage JD.
Gabe didn't show up. Jackson didn't show up. Nadeshot didn't show up.
I swear to God, I saw Gabe there.
No, Gabe did not show up. My former roommate. So really, people should be asking themselves, is there a Hotline League beef with 100 Thieves? Or
wait, Probably was there, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, probably was there. But he doesn't count. He doesn't count at all. So or is it a 100 Thieves beef with Hotline League? Because maybe they're the ones that have the beef with me.
I think they just have beef with you. I think we're cool. They send me free shit.
Because I invited them. I invited them to my party and they didn't show up. It's not that they invited me to their party and I didn't show up. So.
But did you get the merch? Did you get some of the merch drop that came out?
No. I did not.
See, yeah, maybe they do beef.
By the way, you're not supposed to call it merch. I've been corrected. They don't make merch. They make apparel. This is what they've told me.
I'm too dumb. Merch drop. Back on topic. I think that side grades are potentially fine. Will it get them to Worlds? Probably not. Like the caller was saying, I think TSM, TL, and C9 kind of feel like they have a lock on it. And the only reason they wouldn't make Worlds between those 3
Mark,
is...
you're obsessed with Worlds. All right, the caller, me, and 100T. None of us are thinking they're making Worlds. Okay, what I want to know is, can they make 4th or 5th? Which is what Biggest Cow thinks they can do.
I feel fucking hate you, dude. I think they could make 5th. 4th feels like a push. I think FlyQuest has shown to be a very well-balanced team. I don't think JJ was a massive problem, but Wadid's probably better, and so they probably got better. You know, I think we're talking about, is Echo Fox going to hold on to the 6th spot? Is CLG better with Ruin? You know, I don't think anyone made bad moves where they like blew up their roster or something. So, you know, I don't think the league is inherently going to be easier this split. I think no one thinks 100 Thieves was the 10th place team in this split. You know, even Clutch bringing in Cody Sun for Piglet, I think is probably the right move.
Yeah.
Well,
so I'll tell you, we had these 2 callers, right? I will say I think it's more likely that 100 T makes 5th or 4th than that Echo Fox makes 4th.
Bold prediction, Travis.
Do you disagree? Do you think it's more likely Echo Fox hits 4th?
I would have agreed on paper, but not after 100 Thieves got 10th last split. I think if you asked me blind, I'd be like, oh yeah, 100 Thieves is better for sure, dude. Yeah. But they seem to not gel or whatever happened.
But they changed 40% of their roster, Mark.
I'm saying I believe.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
a dreamer.
So you believe in 100 Thieves making 4th?
Yeah,
or 5th?
I believe 100 Thieves will outplace Echo Fox this split.
Okay.
I would bet on that.
Okay. Well, there you go. Does that cover your topic?
Look at that, I'm making bets between my teams.
Yeah, well, there's no bet. Biggest Cow, does that cover what you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I just thought that they had to make 2 changes, which was mid and jungle. They made 1, which is good enough. So I think this is really going to see like what they're capable of this season.
Yeah, I mean they kind of made 2. They kind of made 2 because they will theoretically be playing the split with Soligo, whereas they only played part of the split with him previously.
Yeah, but I feel like Soligo's going to be a wash, honestly.
I mean, so Soligo in the games that we saw him had really low forward percentage, pretty bad CSD. Seemed like he was outclassed by most mid laners, but he was never like 0-10 or something. Like, you know, he was always relevant and could follow up on plays. And it's really hard to pick up a lot of wins when your mid laner is always down pressure. So I don't want to undersell how important it is to have a mid laner who can win his winning matchups or whatever. So maybe Soligo's just a dumpster fire. But if bot and top step up as the Korean import roles and lanes, and Amazing is, I think, a better jungler than Ananda, hopefully Soligo can just hold on mid. Who knows?
Yep. Thanks so much for your call, Biggest Cow.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right, before we grab the next caller, I wanted to take a quick break here to discuss...
Whoa. Just going to leave my man Jesse Hitstreak in the waiting room for your Alienware plug?
Yes. Because while Jesse gifted me subs a short time ago, you and I are both making far more money this episode because of our generous sponsor, Alienware. But you know what? It's not all about the money, people. All right? A lot of people will say that, you know, the tabloids, the magazines, they all claim that I only care about the money. But I actually care about the support. And the support that Alienware has shown the League of Legends community, phenomenal. Not just in sponsoring my content, but also in the stuff that they're doing with Riot, the stuff they're doing with Team Liquid. After this stream, I'm going to play League of Legends because they're doing a League of Legends like Twitch Showdown bounty thing. And I'm going to be doing that. I believe it's called the Alienware Community Showdown. So I'm going to be doing that. They're just really committed to League of Legends fans. And I'd love to see you guys really commit to them. By the way, a little teaser. I don't know how much they're going to be talking about it before E3, but they did announce it last night at Computex. If you like the Alienware Area 51, and you like the look of it with their new Legend design, which they announced at CES, you guys might have seen, I posted some pictures of it about a month and a half ago. Really great looking computer. Well, now that look is coming to their M15 and M17 computers. If you go search for it right now, you can see several different outlets covered the big announcement last night. Really fantastic, beautiful looking pieces of hardware that are going to go on sale very shortly. You can check that stuff out. And by the way, if you want this, I believe this promo code will work on it by the time that stuff comes out and is available for order. Travis 10 off, yeah, with the number 10, 10. Travis 10 off. That promo code, all one word. That will get you 10% off your Alienware order. And if you want to do me a favor, please, so that they know that you're coming from Hotline League, because they know you're supporting me. That maybe you're even a European person who now loves the show because I've said the right things. Alienware.com/Travis, Dell.com/Travis. Either of those links work. I will put them in the chat right now. And also, if you're listening to YouTube or you're watching this on YouTube, you can check out the description there. But they are quite good. Good stuff. Thank you, everyone, for this. And by the way, Twitch chat, in the past, you've been very supportive of these breaks. I see a couple people joking about ad block. Please be nice, all right? We wouldn't be doing this show if it wasn't for them.
Do you have ad block on right now, Travis?
No. Also, Twitch, I think, overcame that because now, like, all the Riot computers that I previously think had ad block, so that at the studio, now those ads all roll. So I think it's...
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. 10% off. Travis, 10 off. Very much appreciated. All right. On to the next caller.
All right. All right.
I thought Mark was about to say something and then he left. Okay. Thank you to Dan Syke.
Another caller.
What was that? That was really weird. I don't know what just happened. Thank you to Dan Syke for the 3 months. Project Cream Pie for 14 months in a row. Let's thank Alienware for feeding Travis. You feel me? Nice. Fishalicious, tier 1 sub, and C9 and Dandy for the 2 months. Very generous of you. Hello. Welcome back.
Hello.
I have brought someone.
We have Hitstreak on the show. Hitstreak, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from lovely Irvine, California.
Nice. Well, which you will not be in soon.
No, I will. I'm departing probably around like the 14th or 15th of June to return to my roots of the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah. Well, do you want to introduce yourself or explain your background for those that are unfamiliar before we chat about whatever you want to chat about?
Sure. I mean, I didn't really have an agenda here. I just wanted to kind of hang out with you guys. But so thanks for having me. But yeah, so I'm Jesse Lawrence. I have been in esports for a while. I was working at Riot for on the LCS for kind of social media stuff. Did the same thing at Twitch. Launched the Overwatch League social channels along with Kyle O'Connor, who is now kind of doing his own thing. And I'll be making a move shortly to join another company up in the Bay Area.
You could announce it on the show right now.
No, I'm not quite ready yet.
I mean, because think about, like, I would be giving you a great platform.
Oh my god.
Yeah, not quite ready yet, but thanks.
Yeah. Well, either way, thank you. So what has been on your mind? You have any opinions on the stuff we've talked about so far?
Well, first of all, I want to apologize for not making it to your birthday thing.
Understandable.
We were up in the Bay. We were up in the Bay looking for places, but everything that I saw on social media looks like you had a great time without me. So I appreciate the invite. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry you couldn't make it, but you did miss out. So you
Travis
feel
was
sorry
gonna
for
hold
yourself.
that grudge until you apologize.
Somebody told me that there was conversations happening at the party where certain people had said, I'm only here because I feel like Travis will be really angry if I don't attend.
Yeah, I had one of those conversations.
Wow. Was that you, Mark?
Those conversations. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there are other ones, but I definitely had that.
Oh no. Yeah,
Travis asked me on Facebook like 4 different times, like, "Are you coming to my party? You coming to my party?" I had to come.
Travis, do you feel like your influence is so strong that you actually can hold something like that against people?
I would feel bad for somebody not attending. You apparently had a decent decent excuse, but I if Mark was just like, I'm going to hang out with the cat at home, it's for his benefit that he attends.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't concerned at all. But,
okay.
I get it.
Well.
But yeah, to kind of talk on, I actually was really interested in the pro view that the LCS announced. What was it, last week? Is that right? Do I have my timeline right?
It was like last week, several days ago, maybe on Thursday or Friday. I think Friday.
Yeah. I think it's super interesting because it's I feel like Overwatch League, for everything that people say about it, like I think that they actually really took a big chance in monetizing the stream and kind of opened the door for something like this to finally exist. Now, whether anybody will give them credit for that, or whether like the LCS was probably been working on this forever, but anyways, I think it's really interesting because they're priced very similarly, but what you get out of it is very different. Because you actually get additional content like directly in game for using the Overwatch League model, whereas here it's specifically about offering just the views, right? Like
So I'm not entirely familiar with the Overwatch League product. Is it kind of like if you took Team Pass and Fan Pass and combine them with ProView?
So the TLDR is that you get the different angles from the players themselves. You get to control the stream, but then you also get basically like $10 worth of RP. It's like the coins, right, in Overwatch, specifically so you can buy Overwatch League related skins. And then you get a separate chat channel, which is typically a lot fewer people. It doesn't go by as quick, and it's moderated a little bit differently. And then you get the opportunity to participate in like Q&As with the pros after the matches. So
that's pretty cool.
Kind of the bundle. Yeah, so that's the bundle that Overwatch League offers. Whereas, like I said, I don't think League is offering anything like that, right?
Yeah. How much is that? Is it also $15?
Yeah, it's $15. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that is definitely. I mean the fact that if it's $10 of in-game currency, right? Assuming you're going to spend the $10 anyway, you're already in a way better position. Because then you're spending $5 for not just the pro view, but also the extra stuff as well.
And Jin in chat is absolutely correct. There's also exclusive emotes that you get on Twitch as well. So there's the offering last season was a lot different in that they didn't have the different camera angles, the amount of control. They didn't have that tech in. So the offering last season was a lot different. It was a lot more about the in-game content. So they offered like a number of skins along the way that you can unlock for watching specific amounts of content. But yeah, that's this year it's all about like the actual the viewing experience.
Trying to think if there's any. Go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say the idea of like a separate chat room that is more serious is something that I think the people who are paying for this already are very interested in. So I don't know if the stream thing that the League fans are getting from a certain perspective has that, but like that sounds super cool with the idea that like you could follow a top laner along with a bunch of people who are presumably top laners talking in a chat about what they're seeing. I imagine that'd be really cool, and I really hope that exists with this like.
And we should say
thing.
One thing, Jesse, tell me if they have this, because one of the major features that I think is pretty cool is you can sync your viewing experience with other people who have ProView to make sure you're all at the exact like second or whatever. I know that's one of the selling points for the ProView stuff. Do you know if the Overwatch League stuff has that?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I've been a little disconnected this season, but yeah, I don't believe it has that. And just to correct, not to correct you, Mark, but the separate room there's only one. There's not one for each camera view. So like there's not one for top laner or ADC, etc. That doesn't exist in Overwatch.
I mean, if you want a slower chat that doesn't have as much going on in it, just go to the YouTube stream for LCS.
Yeah, but it's still like a bunch of dummies typing at their
keyboard. I mean, I think the difference with a $15 chat room would just be it's a bunch of dummies who paid $15 to get there, right?
I mean, the intelligence might not change, but hopefully the message quality goes up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have more to lose if you get banned, right? That's the TLDR, right? Is you have more to lose if you get banned for that channel. Like it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So people are on much better behavior there.
I think there's
like
so many things that they could do to improve the ProView stuff. Mark, do we have another ProView conversation in the can?
We have someone else calling in just in general about Riot monetization.
Okay. Well, then
so if you have a specific point.
I think like there's really easy ways to make the ProView stuff even more appetizing. Like, hey, look, we're gonna have this really well-known top laner who's going to be talking about the top lane stream throughout the day, or we're going to have I don't know. Yeah, like you will let people commentate over the top of it, or like there's a lot of really easy wins there, and I hope that they end up taking it. I mean, hopefully they've just announced it and then they're planning all this stuff later on, but that I think would go a long way to making it feel like a more premium experience. But I mean, to Jesse's point, it does seem like it's not as great as the comparison or to Overwatch League. I also think like part of me feels as though I'm a little torn on this because part of me feels as though, hey, $15, if people spend it, that's great. On the other hand, I oftentimes think about these kind of digital subscription services, and I oftentimes feel like you just need to make them so compelling that like everyone wants to buy it because you get so much value. I think that's like the Netflix and the
no-brainer.
I feel like that's the Netflix and Spotify model. Like people get Netflix because it's like, wait, I just pay this much money and I get like all this content. That's such a no-brainer. And they'll leave the subscription active even if they don't watch Netflix for a while. Whereas I feel like HBO Go, people cancel as soon as Game of Thrones is done. Same thing with Spotify. I know not everybody has like the premium stuff, but like for anywhere between $5 to $10 a month, you can get really great value out of the Spotify stuff.
Yeah, I think you know Riot as well as I do in that they're constantly iterating on stuff. I imagine if the feedback is that, hey, there's not enough value here, I think there's a direct one-to-one comparison between them and Overwatch League that they can look at and say, okay, what do we really like about the Overwatch League product or other products that are out there that are similar that we could pull over without much lift, without much engineering that needs to go into it that can add some value for fans.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of time until they get there. I think there's been enough anticipation over the years that the LCS has been going that people are excited about this just at face value. Mark was absolutely right. Content creators are probably salivating and having these exclusive views to specific players that they can create content on, and just go from there. But yeah, I think it'll be fine from the get-go, but they'll take feedback and they'll iterate on it.
Travis, do you know if the like what happens after? Like, is there a VOD that you only have access to if you pay, or like are the VODs?
I believe you get access to the VOD. Let me go back and to be honest, I was doing interviews that day, so I skimmed the
you fucking
the press release.
Half-assing it.
I actually didn't even get the press release. That's part of the problem. Riot?
Well, because you're not press, you're a content creator.
That's true. They give it to the real people. The New York Times.
Because I was gonna say, one of the things I hope they allow is content creators to, in a fair use type way, use these VODs. Like, obviously, you can't just fucking put up a 30-minute.
All ProView features will be available on VODs as well as during live games. Yeah, I think like it would be fun to be able to watch Loco Doco look at like one of the VODs on stream and skip around in it. Obviously, he's not gonna. You don't want him to be able to go through the entire time. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't provided more insight into what usage. I mean, I think this would be valuable for like the Twitch partner program or whatever to sort of issue some feedback on what you're allowed to do with this stuff and where like the line is, because I'm sure a lot of people will want to dive into it. And Twitch, quite frankly, oftentimes people on Twitch are pretty blatant about just watching a video and reacting.
Artifact channel.
God.
Have you seen that stuff, Travis?
Yes, I have. Twitch issued a statement about that, by the way.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they tweeted and said it was through. They said it's automated services. It's not. They were claiming it's not like a conspiracy among people to do that. At least that's the limited thing I took from the Twitch.
They're saying like it's bots doing it.
They part of their enforcement of their rules now is that they're not allowing brand new accounts to stream to that directory anymore in an effort to stop that behavior going forward.
Our investigations uncovered that the majority of accounts that shared and viewed the content were automated. As an aside, people have no idea what we're talking about. We're referencing this funny thing where like people were using the Artifact directory because the joke is nobody streams or does anything with Artifact.
I don't know if it was. I don't know if all of it was funny though, because there was some pretty terrible content being streamed in there too.
Yeah.
So, but yes, for the most part, it was just ridiculous, like anime and stuff like that.
Yeah. But anyway, back on topic.
Well, not quite too far on topic. I was gonna say there's a guy, Clint Stevens, who's like a speedrunner, and someone I guess made a bot that made a new account for each VOD in his like directory, and then started streaming all his VODs on separate channels. And he just had like this entire, I forget what game it was. It was some random game. God, it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So I guess that's probably a good change to have in general. Like newly created accounts can only. I don't know how they're gonna release that.
Back to
Keeps
League of
getting crazier.
Legends and ProView. Did you have a chance to look at the Fan Pass and Team Pass stuff, Jesse?
Yeah, I was hanging out in the waiting room. I was looking through that. I think this is great. I think like more monetization is always good. I don't see any downside to that. I don't know. I think it's better than just icons. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Which has previously been all you can do unless your team wins worlds, right? So, I think this is a great opportunity for fans to kind of show their love for their teams, and Riot now has a lot more levers with the emotes that they can pull for stuff like this. So it's really exciting. It's really
Fan
cool.
Pass will be available in the store for 980 RP, and you'll be able to earn icons, an emote, a ward skin, and a chroma for Dragon Slayer Braum, as well as blue essence, key fragments, and 2 masterwork chests. I think that's cool. Like one of the things you get is a ward skin that has like, it's like a, based off this picture, it's like the foam hand with the team logo on it. That's pretty cool. I mean, as always, I'd like to see more. I think you look at some of the other games out there and see what they're doing. It's awesome, but this is pretty cool. And for 980 RP, that's not that bad.
No, that's good value. That's really solid value.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that combined with the, I guess that's actually a pretty good way of doing it. Where okay, I'm not gonna watch all my players. I kind of want to watch the broadcast as it is. I don't care about having the control. So I'll punt on, the pro view, but give me that team pass.
Yeah.
And let me rep my team in game, which is where they want to drive people anyways.
Team Pass seems fairly worth it. I think it'd be nice if it wasn't just you had other options than chroma for Dragon Slayer Braum, because that seems oddly specific. But
what would you want?
I think I'd love to see more team branded skins.
Okay.
I think that's really cool. I realize it's a lot of work on the Riot side, but other games have been able to make this happen, and I think even if it's like just a team, like a chroma. I mean, you look at Overwatch, we make fun of them a lot, but like it is pretty sweet that there's like skins for home and away for every team. Now, obviously, there's a lot less teams in Overwatch League than there are globally competing in all the different leagues for Riot, but maybe it's limited. Maybe in North America, you only get the skin. You can only get access to the skins for the LCS teams or something like that.
Right. Yeah. It's I've never designed a single thing, so I wouldn't want to imagine what amount of work goes into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you're drawing up a blue sky idea, absolutely, that's where you want to start, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine that's probably where they started, and they came down to, okay, this is going to give us good bang for the buck while also not killing all of our designers to give every single team.
And by the way, I'm not saying they do this for every single champion, but I think they pick like one of the most popular, like an Ashe,
right,
an Ashe or something like that, like a very widely used champion that's incredibly accessible. And you make one skin that has like chromas for each of the different teams. I think it'd be, even if it's just colors, maybe it's not the logo, maybe it's just colors or something like that. I think Golden Guardians Ashe could look really cool, for instance.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. But yeah, I mean, I still feel like this is a much better step than just having the icons, which is what we had those since season 3. I think halfway through season 3, we started getting those icons that you could buy, and like clearly people, weren't all that invested in those.
Yeah.
So this is a good next step.
Can't imagine they generated very much revenue either.
Didn't someone come out and talk about it? They said like they got like 20,000 or something for a year or something like that.
Yeah, somebody talked about it. I mean, I don't know the full how. I mean, it was a long time ago. So
season 3, that's good money, right? I mean, let's be real.
I don't know if it was season 3. I think it might have been season 4 or season 5 when like started getting official.
Okay, that's a little different, but still. I don't know.
It wasn't Marn in a random house days.
Okay, fair.
Trying to think of is there anything else we should be talking to Jesse about while he's on the call?
Well, there's this other guy. Do you want me to grab him and maybe have Jesse stay around? It's another monetization-ish talk.
Yeah.
I'll hang on.
Cool.
Really quickly while waiting, let's see. It looks like Launders. Thank you, Launders. He was at my birthday party Sunday night, unlike some people. Happy birthday, Big Trev. Thank you. Surge 2009 gifted a sub to Jackster544 and Hello Huang with the Twitch Prime. Awesome to get some support from you guys. Let's talk about Hotline League monetization. Lego Maegos has joined the stream. Lego Maegos, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh, North Carolina. I feel like we get a decent amount of North Carolina callers. Have you called in before?
I have not. I've posted a couple questions. It's been a long time.
Well, thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
All right, so it plays off this as well. I think it was interesting hearing about Overwatch's process compared to leagues, but I think that Riot's prioritizing the wrong monetizable side products too soon. Team Pass is fine, but I think the potential for like profit, audience growth, and the experience or participation would benefit more from properly implemented Fantasy League. It was there before. A rework was promised and definitely needed, and it was promised by summer. No news there. But as a big gambler and fantasy sports nut, I feel like ProView, that experience enhances the opportunities for tools like Fantasy LCS or LCS Stock Market or Pick'em more so than it works as a standalone product.
Well, I'm going to tweet out right now because I'm very curious about this. What people care more about, Fantasy LCS or ProView? So I just tweeted that out on my Twitter because I get the feeling that Fantasy LCS probably had a very low usage. That is my guess.
Well, I'm the first vote, and I voted Fantasy LCS, and it's 100%.
Okay, well,
I guess my argument there would just be, how much of that was because it was such not a fully fledged application that it was just garbage, and how much of it was that people just don't want to play Fantasy LCS.
Well, and to be fair, the first season when it was like, oh, this is new and like a first pass at fantasy, people were pretty hyped about it. I remember seeing.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
I remember Reddit comments and people talking about it, and everybody was in on it. Everyone had like their league.
Yeah,
and then over time,
even the players were commenting on it during the matches, which is a little distracting, like a little concerning. But on the other hand, it was pretty hype as well. That even they cared about it.
Yeah, I remember Cop joking about being like a KDA player because he had to get his fantasy points because he drafted himself or something.
Right.
Like you don't want it to ever be like that important monetarily, but like for a period of time, it was a really big deal. And then I think because there was never any improvement or love given to it, that it. People kind of dropped off in caring, and like no one was pushing it. Like if fantasy was coming back, like I would fucking love to force all the Riot casters to do it. It gets covered in Countdown, like a little 2-minute thing, 3-minute thing every Sunday to talk about like, or maybe on Saturday, like the same way we do the stock market thing, but like actually fantasy and talk about who our big winners are and whatnot. Like I think that'd be really cool if you are gonna like bring it back to give it that big push.
It's got to be more accessible. Oh, sorry.
More accessible?
Yeah, I'm reading your chat right now, your Twitch chat too, and they're making a point of that people would log on and draft their team and never look at it again.
Yeah, I did that multiple seasons.
Yeah. Oh, me too, everybody for sure.
Navi 1995 has a great point where it helps with viewership because it gives you a reason to invest in matches you normally don't care about. It gives you a reason to root for players that you have on your fantasy team that you normally wouldn't watch because they're not your team, right? So, hey, like I've got 100 Thieves is playing today, and they're playing against, the second to last place team. Like, why would I watch? Oh, wait, I've got 100 Thieves player on my roster. Like, yeah, now I'm going to tune in because I want to see if I could beat my buddy at fantasy. it gives you that additional incentive to watch, which is ultimately what Riot is trying to accomplish, is get more eyeballs on the broadcast.
I just that only works in a world where people are actively using the app. And my concern is that
Right.
maybe people were not. Like as we've discussed, people log in, they draft, and then they don't do it again, and then maybe they follow it for the first 4 weeks, and then the next season or split they draft, and then they don't use it, and then after that they stop using it. Like I kind of feel like everyone stopped talking about fantasy, and
Yeah.
I'm on board with the idea that this is fun and a lot of people really like it and it theoretically increases engagement. I just worry that like people were not using it anymore.
Sure.
Well, what
I
if
think
you make it so you can join with the public? So you have public lobbies or public leagues rather than just needing to join it with 8 of your friends.
yeah.
So-
So
go ahead.
there was a couple issues that we would run into
Yeah.
when I was there. In that, one, yeah, the app wasn't all that great. Two, it wasn't easy to find open leagues. You'd have to basically use the forums to find open leagues, which is not an easy way of doing it. And three, I think what really helps fantasy is when you hit that critical mass where everybody's talking about it, where the players are talking about it, where the on-air personalities are talking about it, where your friends are all talking about it, when the Twitter account for the league is talking about it, and it's kind of like everywhere, and everybody feels like, okay, there's that FOMO, right? Um, Without all of that, and without an actual product that is fully supported by the league, it's not going to have that momentum past like the initial, okay, it's draft day, let's go. After that, you're just going to be in a whole bunch of leagues and you're not going to check back into it because, well, then all the buzz is gone and everybody's focused back on the actual matches.
By the way, on my
Totally.
tweet right now, it's at 50-50 with 360 votes. Pro View versus Fantasy LCS.
I mean, without knowing how that poll is going to end, that at least says that it's a pretty good balance.
Uh-huh.
You know,
People don't care about either of them equally.
potentially. The pessimist perspective. I
Yes.
think like
the both
Fantasy
classes
failed.
are empty.
Fantasy failed for a number of reasons, but I think at least you could tell based off the initial hype that like for the first split or two, people really cared. And like to Jesse's point, like there were a number of problems with it, like but if you really supported it and you actually pushed it and it was making Riot money and like someone actually owned it, you know, internally or whatever, and like it was their job to make all that shit pop, like I personally think it would. The idea that people like draft and then forget, that happens all the time, even in regular fantasy. You know, like
Yeah.
that's not really a problem because you forget about it for 3 months and you check back and you're like, oh shit, I'm in second place, woohoo, and it's just like kind of background noise. You don't need just the I don't know what the diehard fan name is for fantasy players, but like you don't need just the diehards. The casuals who log in, draft day, do it, check twice over the course of the split are still valuable ads as well.
Do we know if there are legal issues with spending $10 to get entered into the league and then having an RP payout at the end of the season? Like what if you and 8 people or you and 9 people drop, or 7, I think, because then you'd have 8, drop $10 each, and at the end of it you pay out RP, and Riot gets, you know, like it's a great way to sell in-game currency, and whoever wins gets like $50 of RP, and it's a great and fun. Like, is there any, do we know of any legal issues with that?
I would defer to Jesse on this, but my understanding back when like all this CS:GO and loot boxes and all that shit was going on, the problem that a lot of those marketplaces had was that you could go from financial to digital good back to financial. If
Yes.
it goes just strictly from financial to digital good and you can't get the money back out, it's not a gambling issue. That was my understanding when all that was going on, but I don't know if the legality has evolved since then.
Yeah, that was my impression too, is that it wouldn't be an issue if you just kept it RP the entire time.
Right, and it can't be like an RP thing that you can trade. You can't get like a fucking $50 RP gift card. You need the RP to literally go into your account.
Yeah.
And then I guess you would have to worry about like account selling type stuff happening, but that already happens anyways.
Jesse, do you have any
Yeah,
ideas?
I'm no lawyer. I would be way over my head and trying to comment there. So I would say get esports law or somebody like that on here.
Never.
Yeah, I wouldn't even want to speculate.
Whoa.
So, yeah, what did he do to you?
You
Did
got-
he
you
not
got
show up
another
to the
beef?
party?
He's a
He
lawyer.
didn't show up to the party, did he?
He didn't. He didn't show up. Actually, I did invite him.
Oh shit.
But I think with regards to the reward stuff, I think we saw it with was it season 5 where there was the championship ribbon skin that was offered at the end of the March Madness or the World's Madness, like the bracketology, and there was that one guy that got the whole thing right, and everybody was like rooting for him. Like it kind of took on a life of its own, right? I think that having a carrot at the end of a league would certainly help things, but I don't know if, and I think we should get back to maybe Lego Mejego's initial point, which was the idea of trying to monetize fantasy as kind of a lever for the league to make money. I don't necessarily feel like you need to have fantasy be a moneymaker. I think it's all about eyeballs. I think it's all about viewership. That's why fantasy is such a big deal for football, for baseball, for basketball. Is like they want people to watch when they don't necessarily care.
I just worry that the way Riot is, not, and this is going to imply that they're all very money hungry or something like that. That's not what I mean. But I think Riot is really easy internally. It's really easy for them to deprioritize certain things that are not directly in line with what their strong mission is, right? Like in this situation, if you need to hire somebody to help improve the broadcast, or you need to hire somebody to build out fantasy league, I know it's not as strict as this. Like I feel like they always focus on the core stuff, and where they miss are a lot of these side things, like lolesports.com, like fantasy, like sponsorships, which I think took a long time to start spinning up. And so I think for me, the solution is, I think they either need to make this something where it directly is a revenue generating thing, and it's really important for them to, say like, okay, this needs to make money, and they spend a lot of time trying to monetize it. That's great. Or they work with a third party partner like an ESPN or Yahoo or any of these other places that do fantasy, and already have it as a core competency, already have the engineers there, already have the back end, and whoever this company is probably pays a licensing fee to Riot, and then they make money that way. I think monetization is actually, I think that's a good way to make sure Riot cares about fantasy.
Yeah, so I jammed a lot into this question, but it was really also with the viewing experience and how that generates, viewers, and they can eventually monetize it. But if you take any of these things and you put them together as well, was kind of another core point. If you take the team pass and put it together with a pick'em, or you take this pro view thing and you put it together with LCS stock market, anything that like the stats nerds can get off on, that is going to drive people to get these passes even more, right? So, and drive them to view more. And you could argue that early on in fantasy football, there weren't a lot of people playing fantasy football in the 1980s, but it was a thing. It takes more people to play it for it to grow, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's definitely an argument here that, fantasy is not the easiest thing to engineer, but a pick'em is.
Mathematician Yo says, why do you want to monetize everything as a viewer? Such a US view. First off, sounds like you're from Europe. Fucking love you. You're an amazing person. You are your league is incredible. Very reasonable statement that you just made. My small pea brain, I think it's really important that the league generates revenue, because otherwise this all goes away and Hotline League goes away because the league is gone and I end up dead. But I understand where you're coming from, because you're European and you're a much better region.
So I think there's plenty of opportunities for something like this to be monetized, but also have a free option. I don't think we're only talking about monetizing this. I think it's just I think it's a valid point to say you're going to get much more investment out of a company when they see that there's an opportunity to make money on the back end of it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's not hard once you have the
Yeah.
thing set up to allow people to join leagues and do all the fantasy point. It's not that much extra work to tack on and if you guys want to enter a $5 league where the winners get RP, you can do that too. Like that's not that much extra work at that point.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks so much for calling in, Lego Maegos. Anything you want to say on the way out?
Nope. Thank you so much for having me. Had a great time.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good one. Shall we say goodbye to history because we have 4 more callers and only 30 minutes to do them in? So I worried that.
Right. I think they're
get
mostly
me out of here.
game topic related.
Hit streak. Anything you want to say?
No, you know what? It was good chatting with you guys. Big fan of the show. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, have a good night.
Yeah,
Hope to
thanks.
see you
Can't
guys
wait
soon.
to hear
Take it easy.
your
Yep, see
new exciting opportunity. Oh, he's gone. Okay. Let's see. We got 4 more callers to go. You want to run off, Mark?
All right, here we go.
Yep. I'm gonna take down the on-call screen. Thanks to Jesse coming on. That was pretty cool. Rower Noah Poro, thank you for the 13 months. X Axel 95X, thank you for the 2. And Coco Sanchez, thank you for the 15 months. Kermit Sudoku for 17. I believe I got to everybody else. We have our next caller coming up in just a second. Hang in there, everybody. Any moment. There's something I was going to say. Oh, yeah, by the way, nobody's on the cheer board for this episode. You cheer just a little bit, you end up on the board. Their name's up there. Dr. Manhattan has returned. Thank you for the technical support earlier. Dr. Manhattan, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Washington, D.C.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I wanted to let you have the glory of saying it. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
What I mainly want to talk about is Team Liquid actually going in these first couple of weeks, and my hot take is that, or slightly hot take is, I think that TL, based on their history for the past 3 splits now, it's like my theory is that they'll revert to kind of being the bot-centric team that they have been for the past 3 splits, and that, in my opinion, will cause them to be, or start off the first couple of weeks of the LCS a bit rough.
So I can't comment on being the bot-centric team. I do think that you are correct that we were going to see TL. I bet you TL has. Who do they play in the beginning? Actually, I should probably look at the schedule.
I think it's a hard week.
Make this.
They open with TSM.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they'll lose to TSM. I think they will have either. I want to figure out. So they open against TSM and then
Echo Fox, the number 4 place team.
Yes, Echo Fox, 100 Thieves the next week, and CLG. So I think they lose both their games the first week, and I think they lose one of those games the second week. So I think they'll have a negative. My bold prediction is they have a negative track record at the end of, or negative record at the end of week 2. I say that because I feel like historically MSI teams have not done well when they return. And in particular, because this split, there is so little downtime. And if you come, like, I know that they weren't scrimming as recently as some of the other teams. I think that is going to be to their detriment, and they will not look good at the start of the split.
Yeah, but
Dr. Manhattan, go ahead.
Sorry, Mike.
No, you go.
Oh, what I say, like, my main concern is, so I mean, TL, like back to my point where just like, I mean, for the past couple of splits and even this past split, it's just they've played so much. I mean, it's just what should I say? It never seemed like they wanted to play so much around their solo laners, namely in Jensen. I think that's actually a point that they should start playing, and we saw at MSI that it yielded more success when they played around Jensen. And I see teams like TSM, with looking how strong Broken Blade looked, and Bjergsen, who is a phenomenal mid laner by all means. Even looking at Cloud9, I think that these are 2 teams that can absolutely catch up to TL and it just doesn't seem like the bot lane has much agency going into this split. And credit to Doublelift and Core JJ, they're fantastic. It's just I don't think it's going to be enough if they do the whole style they've been doing the past split.
Well, so the one point I'd check you on potentially is some of the changes that have happened in the bot lane meta recently with some of the nerfs and buffs of things. And most notably, the Rageblade nerf is pretty significant because a lot of the best marksmen were Rageblade abusers. And so, for one, what I've been told by various teams and coaches and stuff is that the meta has shifted to more crit-based marksmen with these changes, and that has kind of warped the bot lane pool as well. And so there has been a rise of enchanters to support crit-based marksmen, and so I've heard Sivir is like top priority, Zyra Khan is top priority, Caitlyn's coming back, like these kinds of things. So, you know, even if TL come back, I agree with Travis too that like TL come back slow, but also bot centric might not be that bad in a meta where like if your bot lane can crush theirs and get to 2-3 item crit power spike. Now, if soul laners are still like super dumb, maybe that's another problem too. But there's also the Scuttle crab changes that happened, and level 2 skirmishing junglers are not as, I don't want to say overpowered because I don't really think they were overpowered before, but like they're less important to be able to contest Scuttle crabs and shit like that. So like I think the jungle meta has slowed down, and I think potentially the bot lane meta has slowed down, and that could potentially lead to an overall slightly slower meta. I think soul laners, you know, like yeah, Silas is still strong, Ryze is still strong, Akali is still fine, like this kind of stuff. But I think overall, it's we, especially because people always suck at the start of split too. Like I could see it being fine for TL beyond the fact that they're just out of practice and burnt out compared to other teams because they've probably taken a vacation when everyone else was starting to ramp up scrims.
Yeah. I might have I definitely overlooked a bit of the Rageblade changes. But overall, I mean, and at the end of the day, it's still super hard to say who really is like the best. Even after MSI, it's still hard to say who really is the best team. Because I do think that TSM.
It's G2 for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, Mark.
I mean, hey,
Get those
one
YouTube
day we'll
likes.
see Ocelot. Ocelot might buy a spot in NA. Who knows, man? But I mean, yeah, it's hard to say who the best team is right now because I mean, yeah, we there's definitely a world where somebody can where like we see C9 step up out of nowhere, or you know TSM gave us a hell of a show towards the end, and you know I'm not sure how long they've been screaming, but yeah, it's just definitely something I've been eyeing.
Yeah, I think
if TL adapts,
safe bet at least in the short term. TL probably going to not be number one after. I mean, their opening's actually not that bad, Travis. They could easily go 2-0 week 2.
I know, but I think that's where the surprise will come is that they don't go 2-0 week 2.
Okay, I'll bet they go 2-0 week 2, even though we'll do a show between now and then.
You think 0-2 week 1 and 2-0 the next week?
I don't know about 0-2 week 1. It's actually not like I can see them beating Echo Fox even if they're a little out of practice.
I mean, I'm not saying like yes, there's I'm not saying there's no possibility they can't beat Echo Fox. I agree. I can see that happening.
I mean, when I say possibility, I guess I'm saying likelihood. Like,
okay.
I would take TL 3-1 at the end of week 2.
Okay, so they only lose to TSM.
Yeah.
All right.
If they were playing like a FlyQuest, maybe. Oh, they are playing FlyQuest. Wait, am I crazy?
They don't play FlyQuest.
Yeah.
They play CLG and 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
TSM might be 4-0 at the end of the second week, though.
Yeah.
I could see them not dropping a game until the third Sunday against Cloud9.
None of the top 3 teams outside TSM play each other.
Yeah. Well, we are running low on time. Dr. Manhattan, anything you want to say before we say goodbye?
Just glad to be here once again, and yeah, thank you for having me on the show, and I'm glad I could assist you with the technical difficulties.
Thank you. Have a good one. All right, we've got 3 more callers to go. Quick shout out to Axel95 for 100 bits, an anonymous cheer for 100 bits, Bubba9D for the 8 months, and I am Nucleus for 15 months. Really appreciate all of that. Got 100 bits on the bit leaderboard. I don't know if we can beat that.
Hello.
We've got Freeman Freeman on the show, Cheesecake
AKA
GG.
on Discord. I changed it to Twitch, so.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling in, Cheesecake. Should I call you Cheesecake?
Yes, that'll
Okay.
be better.
Thank you for being a Twitch sub. What do you want to talk about or first off, where are you calling from?
Newton, Iowa. So about
Newton.
half an hour away from the capital, Des Moines.
Gotcha. I know nothing
okay.
about Iowa, but I appreciate the context.
I know you don't. It's okay.
most people don't. What do you want to talk about?
That is true.
What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
So my topic was that I thought that if Yuumi became pro viable and like she was like, I wouldn't say always pick and ban, but almost always pick and ban, then and if she has like a pretty decent win rate, and I know this is kind of a stretch, but since Silas is like popular nowadays and for mid and top and like all these new champions are doing well, that if Yuumi starts doing well, I think viewership will go up.
Why will it go up?
Oh, and my reason though,
that's
is
an important thing.
yeah, I know, because since Yuumi is a support, I think that that can't be hit unless like she gets out. But I think that if pros know how to use it really well, that it'll like bring like Soraka or Lulu or Janna, and it won't be quite like Ardent Sensor meta, but I feel like it'll be like pretty close to that. And I know it's a little bit different because like in the Ardent Sensor meta, it was like tank tops, and that most likely won't happen unless they keep changing it towards that, but I think there's a possibility that it could. And I know that during the Ardent Sensor meta, the viewership was kind of low, and I feel like like with Pike and Silas and all that, they add like all this mobility to champs, but since Yuumi is kind of uninteractive, that it might lower it.
Well, I will say that I did a bunch of interviews with the LCS pros last week. They're all coming out this week, and we talk about Yuumi in probably the majority of them. And while some pros are undecided, a lot of them think that Yuumi is pretty OP. So it feels like we're leaning more towards Yuumi being quite prevalent in at least the early days of Summer Split.
Yeah, well, the other thing too is, just to backtrack a second before the Yuumi point, the Ardent Sensor meta low viewership stuff also has to do with the whole best of 3 coming out of that era a little bit.
Okay, that's true.
Where I think there were a number of things that impacted viewership beyond a potentially boring meta, and I will agree, it's not the most fun to watch. I think people enjoy this a lot more. How sizable of an impact that has, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think even if Yuumi is broken, there's enough other stuff in the meta, to your point, that like, you know, even if Yuumi is broken and makes poke lanes more powerful than engage lanes, and it's enchanters in the bot lane, I don't think that means that suddenly you can't run Silas and stuff with it. I mean, Silas likes a Lulu ult being put on him. Silas likes stealing Lulu ult. You know, stuff like that. Assassins generally aren't as strong whenever enchanters are powerful, but they can just interact with them just fine for the most part, because these are not like, it's not like Rengar assassin, like Akali has counterplay in her own kit against things. I mean, whereas Rengar just goes in, like, she can drop Shroud, they can do a bunch of things. Same with Silas, same with Aurelia, and like all these other champs. So I think I wouldn't be too worried about it. If Yuumi's good, that viewership will drop. Plus, it's a cat. Cats are really cute, so I think you're forgetting a pretty critical part.
Mark, where's our clickbait?
What clickbait?
We're talking about a cat. Usually by this point in time in the show, I have changed.
He's been snoozing this. He didn't give a shit this week. He's just snoozing on the bed next to me.
Oh,
damn.
You're not gonna wake him up?
Do you think if Yuumi does become like popular and pro, that a lot of champs like Blitzcrank and Thresh, especially with Blitzcrank with his change, he might be even a little better now in pro? Do you think they'll show up a lot more? Or
I don't think so. So one of the problems I've heard about Yuumi is that like winning an all-in against her is really hard because she takes double combat summoner and it doesn't need to take flash. And so the AD can take TP. And even if the AD doesn't want to take TP, you can technically take triple combat summoner, like Ignite, Exhaust, Heal. And
Yeah.
it makes all-ins really difficult. And if you fail your all-in, you're just destroyed by your poke. So it's easier to take things that can poke back or sustain back. So that's what I've heard. So I'm not sure Blitzcrank would be good because like if
Soraka's supposed
if
to be good, right?
That's what I heard. Soraka counter type thing.
Do you know if Soraka silence also silences Yuumi?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't? Okay.
No. She's untargetable. So
Okay.
like
Yeah, that's what I
I've
thought,
al-
but I
I've
was just making sure.
yeah, I think even if Yumi's really strong, I don't think she'll warp the meta too much beyond what's getting like warping bot lane, which is still pretty sizable, but it's not like it's the entire map. That is my thought.
So you think if Yumi's in, then there will be more poke AD carries like Caitlyn and maybe like Varus and Ezreal, or?
No, not in the marksman role. I think marksmen are more
Oh,
defined
okay.
by like what items are strong. So like, if Rageblade was still the same, I bet Kai'Sa would still be higher priority. But I mean, people are still playing her, of course. But Xayah, Rakan,
Yeah, with Mirror Mana. So.
yeah, Xayah, Sivir, Caitlyn. I forget there are a couple others people were listing that are slipping my mind right now. Those are the three I already said.
Some wannabe Twitch chat analyst says 1 OP champion equals 1 ban. Doesn't change competitive completely unless there's a total shift in supports. So the idea being that if Yumi's OP, it'll just get banned. It won't change the meta.
Yeah, that's true. But as I was saying earlier in my point, like a few other things, of course, I think would have to change, like towards like maybe a little bit more tanks, or maybe not necessarily tank solo laners, or yeah, tank solo laners, but maybe tank jungler. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, thanks so much, Freeman. Or sorry, Cheesecake?
Cheesecake. It's
Cheesecake.
okay. Either works.
It still says Freeman on my screen. Thanks for calling in. Is there anything you want to say?
I've been watching you for about a year now, and I finally got to come in. I'm like, woo! But yeah,
Nice.
even on my sick day, but that's okay. It was worth it.
Well, thanks for calling in. Hope you feel better.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Azale's on the Twitch chat, by the way. He was the one that said that earlier. That's what I was saying. Let's see. Where are we? So we got Surge 2009 sent 101 bits. So we're now 1 bit more than we were at before on the board. Scrapjack for 6 months says, "Love you, Daddy Travis." Thank you. I'm trying to embrace the daddy or zaddy thing now that I'm 30. I feel like that's the brand I need to go for, and that I'm getting those dad shoes soon. I hope that's where we can go. I think that's how I make myself feel better about being this age. Zale says, "How does it feel to almost be dead now that you're 30?" Freeing, actually. There's so much I can accomplish. All right. Hold my HTC phone.
Hello.
Where are you calling from?
Alabama.
Alabama. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about that really recent interview that you had posted on Reddit about, or YouTube about, with Hunter, about what players are being held by teams. And he didn't specifically say any players, but I feel like you can just kind of look at what their rosters were and kind of take a guess as to who they might have been. So, for example, Golden Glue is the obvious example. I feel like any team looking for any mid laner would have picked Golden Glue versus Ligo. But even looking at players like Dog and Greg that could presumably find spots on other teams, like 100 Thieves or Clutch, who ended up not leaving. And I think that is a perfectly fine thing to do, to just kind of hold players, kind of like holding talent, to maintain, to stop your competitors from getting stronger, and also having strong in-house practice partners. Because I think TSM showed that that's like a really good advantage to have like a strong academy team. And so I think it's perfectly fine to do it, even though I feel like everyone's kind of implying that it's a bad thing to hold players hostage, for that sort of thing.
So a couple things for the people that didn't catch it. Go watch my Hanser interview. In it, he says that he feels like there weren't that many roster trades this offseason. Did you see this, Smirk?
No, I don't watch your content.
No, I didn't know if you'd seen the headline, which is mostly how people interact with my content on Reddit. Anyway, in the interview, Hanser says there weren't that many trades during the break because certain teams or certain orgs were really greedy, basically implying, normally a team wants a buyout whenever they are going to trade a player, like, hey, you need to give me this much money if you want to acquire this player. And apparently a lot of the teams were really greedy. A lot of people have been pointing out Golden Glue is likely to be a hot commodity and would have been a better option for 100T than Soligo probably, based off of recent track records. But all other things I've heard, what's safe to say? I want to make sure I get this right. I've heard that Biofrost is a hot commodity and has been for some time, and CLG doesn't want to trade him. That like Optic had a player who was very interesting, and somebody wanted somebody from Echo Fox. These are the rumors that I've heard. So anyway, yes, we're entering a world now where players have signed pretty long contracts, and teams are either like, hey, give me a lot of money, or I'm going to keep this player on my team.
Yep.
What's the take from this?
The take is that it's completely acceptable for them to do this, right?
As
Hold my
teams?
HCC fun.
Yeah, essentially. And also kind of, I guess, to make it harder, as a TL fan, I don't know if you can tell because it's outdated meme now, but I feel like in theory, Steve could use his money, his big wallet, to take out a lot of players that would be very valuable assets on other teams and just kind of hold it on his academy team, in theory. And that's a practice that I think is perfectly acceptable.
I don't think he would need to do that though, given that he already got first.
But he could. It's possible.
I mean, theoretically, nothing's stopping him from spending $400,000 to buy like a mid-tier mid laner to stop anyone from getting him, right? If a mid laner wants to be paid $400,000 to not have a career anymore.
Well, but that's the thing. It's not the mid laner that gets paid the $400,000. It's the org, right? Because it's a buyout. So the idea is,
no, but he's saying that like, what in this example, the player has to agree to someone who's a mid-tier LCS mid laner would have to accept the contract knowing that they're probably not going to start behind Jensen in order for this to like go. Golden Glue is a weird one because I'm going to assume
I don't think players always have a say in if they get traded.
Yeah. It's possible that they are free agent, but it's also possible that you buy out a contract.
I think you guys are conflating my example, which is following up on Hold My HCC's phone point about Steve spending money.
Yeah.
Over this. So like, if Hold My HCC's phone is saying I'll buy out these player contracts and they'll get traded, and he's just gonna buy players for large sums of money, maybe that's crazy. I thought you were saying signing people to large contracts and then making sure they don't go anywhere because no one wants to pay the buyout, which are two different things, because then at least the person's getting paid. If Steve's just buying Golden Glue and whoever else, yeah, that's kind of scummy, but I also doubt Steve would do that.
And we're just using, by the way, this is an example. None of us have ever heard Steve conspiring to try to buy out all the...
Get a monopoly.
I will have the only good mid laner. I will take Bjergsen and everyone and stick them behind my Team Liquid paywall. No, sorry, the other component of this, Mark, is that Hanser said that certain players want to leave their teams and are being blocked by this. So the story is, in summing it all up, you've got a player, he doesn't want to be on the team anymore, he wants to be traded, he goes and tells the team or his org, the org either solicits offers or offers come to them on their own, and the org says, give me $1 bajillion or this player is staying on the roster, and they were like, well, we're not going to give you $1 bajillion, and at the end no one gets paid. The player still is on the roster even if they don't want to be, and that makes fans upset, though the question of course is that acceptable business? I think I think it's not great if you've got a reasonable offer for a player to keep the player hostage, because I do not, well, sorry, hostage is a strong term, but to keep them on your roster if they don't want to be there, because I don't think you're going to be able to get as much value out of that player if they're stuck and they don't want to be there. So that is my concern.
Yeah, I mean, if you sign the contract, then like, you know, a little unfortunate. I know a lot of people might not read their contracts thoroughly, even
I mean, they're
not
supposed to have
inside league,
agents.
not inside lowly sports. Yeah, you know, so like on the one hand, you know, they should have read it more carefully. They should have argued for more clauses around trades that give them more power if they feel like that's important. You know, there's nothing stopping them from complaining theoretically. Maybe that paints them in a bad light. You know, they can.
Well, they can't
fight
complain
in,
publicly, otherwise, normally the contracts have a non-disparagement clause. You complain privately.
Well, it depends what you mean by complaining, because there's good complaining and bad complaining. I'm assuming they're going to do good complaining, because disparagement is usually, in a legal sense, a pretty over the top. But if you just let it
I
leak
doubt
somewhere,
that a player can come out and say, "I'm sad I'm on this team right now."
yeah, you probably couldn't say that. But you could easily say, I was really hoping to get a starting shot this split, and unfortunately some stuff got in the way.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, is that disparagement? Probably not.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, if a player is being smart, they can very easily create some pressure publicly, potentially. But yeah, otherwise it's like, I'm sorry you signed that contract. In the future, you can be smarter about it. You can try these other avenues that are not like as legal, I guess, where you're complaining about this stuff. You can become a pain point on the team, like depending on how bad you want to get out. Like, you know, you can be a dick in, maybe it's you're being a justifiable dick, even that you're being an asshole to get kicked off your own team. You know, there are other routes beyond just like, I tried to get traded and it didn't work. That does come at the cost of like your attitude, presumably, but you know, I think if a pro player said, I was really young and I signed a bad contract and I was held hostage to another team owner, I think maybe that team owner would understand where they're coming from. You know, who knows?
Yeah.
How bad do you want to get out? You know, there are other avenues.
Well, I think we have to move on to the last caller, but this is a good conversation. I wish we had more time for it. Thank you, Hold My HTC phone.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Have a good one. One last caller to go. We'll see. Sometimes the last caller goes to sleep. Maybe they might not be here. I would read out a new sub or bits, but I didn't get any, so we'll just sit here in silence, wait patiently. Hey, Ryan DB sent me a sub. Here's a resub, Travis. Thank you. Thank you. We're waiting on the last caller. Tangy Sauce should be here any second. Mark's doing a mic check. Earlier, by the way, somebody in chat asked, how do teams in the LCS earn money? They don't. That's the answer to that question. And it looks like Tangy Sauce is here. Tangy Sauce, where are you calling from?
New Orleans.
New Orleans. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, so I think you'll like. My hot take is that I don't think G2 is currently the best team in the world. I think that their series versus SK2 was obviously very close. I think I would give G2 the edge, but I also think that personally, I think IG is still the best team in the world, and they had an off series. But I do think that they will be the best team in the world come Worlds. And the reason is I think that they have more room to improve than the other top 4 MSI teams, which I'm assuming they'll still be at the top, which is subject to change. But I think that specifically individually, they have more room to improve. So like my reasoning is that if you look at like SKT, obviously Faker, Teddy, and Clit are insane players. Like, you know, top 3 or 5 in the world, I would say. But I think what that also means is that you can't expect them to improve significantly, because you can't expect players to be like some transcendent player like Vicar was in season 3, right? And that, so like basically the better a player gets, the harder it is to improve, is my logic. And then if you look at Khan and Mata, I think that they have significant room to improve, but I think that like for the past few years they've shown that they haven't changed at all. So, and then similarly with Team Liquid, I think that they've all shown a similar level for many years. But then when you get to G2, like you can argue that their top side has a similar issue where I think that their top side is close to their peak, but when Worlds comes around, Perks is going to have basically twice as much experience playing bot lane, and the hope is that Mickey X is going to be able to play. I think the rumor was that he was only able to play 10 scrims at MSI, so the hope is that he'll be able to play a regular amount of scrims. So I think that's really where G2 is going to get the edge, is that they have more room to improve, specifically in the bot lane.
Mark, I'm sorry, I can't hear the caller at all. I'm sure what he's saying is that G2 is the best team in the world, that they're going to continue to be the best team. That's my personal opinion and the opinion of the YouTube channel and of this VOD. And everyone will be liking the video because that's my opinion. But I'm going to let you handle this one because my call is breaking up and I can't hear him.
G2 is overrated trash and only lucked into that tournament win because the only team that they had to beat was the even worse trash team Liquid. You take me down too, dude? What the hell? I'm still here. Come on, man.
I'm so scared right now. I hope that EU viewers don't get to this part of the VOD.
So on the real, I actually think I mostly agree with the caller's take. Like, if you think G2 is the best team in the world, I will put them number 2, probably. Like, I still think IG was better. On Listen Loco, I talked to a lot about what went wrong for IG in their series when I was on that one. I think, their soul laners got overconfident and didn't push their leads as much as they could because they kind of assumed that they're going to win. Ning had a really bad series, Battleland had a really bad series, all this stuff. I think G2 demonstrated quite clearly they're better than SKT, and I think Europe as a whole has demonstrated dominance, so to speak, over Korea in the last 2 tournaments. So I think it's fair to say that G2 is better than SKT and Korea. I think they're definitely better than NA, and I think it is debatable at the very least if IG or G2 is better. And if someone said G2, it's not like you have great arguments for why not. I still think IG is better. That's personal opinion. But what I really agree with the caller with is, like, we've seen what I believe is IG's peak at Worlds last year, and who knows what happened this time. I think whereas IG, it's hard to see where they go from here. They can have a better tournament that they've had at MSI. They could easily win Worlds again. But I think G2 has a lot of room to improve given Perks' short time in the bot lane, the fact that this team has only been together for, 6 months now. I think there are a lot of things that they can do better. Also, like you're saying, Mickey getting a full tournament prep heading into it, not being injured. There are so many things that could go better for G2, and they already won an international tournament. So, like, the ceiling on G2 is really, really high. But I think I can understand. Like, I think that they're the second best team in the world. I would still put IG number 1. I think G2 had a better tournament. Obviously, they won it, so you can't even say they didn't have a better tournament. I can't believe IG fucking lost to TL. That is like some insane level upset shit, given how hard G2 slammed TL. Like, they're not good enough to beat IG almost every other day, but apparently the day they played on. So, like, that's my take. G2 has an incredible ceiling. They could only get better for Worlds. I agree with the caller.
I disagree
How many
with the
downvotes
caller
do you think?
that G2 isn't the best team in the world, but I agree that they can only get better. The skill cap on Europe as a whole is insane, and quite frankly, I wish I was European. Tangy Sauce, any thoughts?
Yeah, I guess, I guess one argument against my argument is that you could argue that like mechanics is not like is not as big a part of the game as it used to be, and that stuff like team, cohesion and reading the meta better is going to be more important. But I'd argue that like every team can improve in terms of synergy and in terms of stuff like that, and I just think that G2 have an edge in the aspect that mechanically I think that their bot lane has more room to grow than pretty much any bot lane. Well, like TL's bot lane or SKT's bot lane.
I think mechanics are more important last Worlds and this year than they've been in a long time, maybe since like season
Sure,
5 or 3. But the other thing is what G2 might lack behind IG in individual mechanics. Like I think Rookie is God tier, the Shy God tier, but I don't think they're as creative as G2. I think Caps and Wonder and Perks are more creative. You can throw Mickey and Yankos in there as well, just so we're saying the whole team. I think they're the most creative team in the world, and like that goes a long way right now. So even if they can't train their mechanics to be better than IG, they can sure as fuck come up with a better game plan for beating IG that IG can never prepare for.
You think-
Yeah.
Oh, go
If
ahead.
you dislike this take and you're downvoting the YouTube video for what I just said, comment to let us know that that's specifically why you've downvoted, so that way we can get a more accurate read on having any sort of take that paints them in any sort of light while saying they're the most creative team in the world with the most upside and the potential to overtake the #1 spot from IG, which is still debatable. If that's upsetting to you, just let me know.
Tangy Sauce, thank you so much. Anything you want to say on the way out?
Thanks for having me, and I hope I managed to farm some folks with that topic.
Thanks so much. Have a good one. Certain people in the chat are saying this EU shit is getting boring. If this EU shit is going boring, then go to the channel and like the video so that I don't have to do this anymore. It's so annoying that the world we live in is one where if you express a differing opinion, people dislike the video, it fucks your YouTube algorithm and everything goes terribly. Alright? By the way, I'm mostly joking throughout all this. I'm frustrated about the dislike thing because it's aggravating that that's how YouTube works and that's how people respond to opinions they disagree with, but it was mostly just memeing about Europe. Also, North America's better. Also, North America's going to crush LEC at Rift
And you wouldn't
Rivals
catch me dead in Europe.
And ever, yeah.
Just kidding. I really like European food.
Really? Oh yeah, you like the
Yeah.
Italian stuff, right?
I love Italian. French is good.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't love Italian food.
Well,
not
that's-
Italian, excuse me. European food. Maybe I don't love European food. I can list like
Oh,
two countries. Spanish food's fine.
German food's not great. But I really like the food in Barcelona.
I don't like
UK
Polish
food
food.
is awful.
UK food's pretty booty.
Yeah. Anyway, Mark, anything you want to say here at the end?
Nope. Catch you guys at the start of the split in a couple days.
Can't wait for it. I've got videos going out all week long. Please check them out. Thanks to Alienware for sponsoring this. There's a chance that we might be trying to do another live Rift or live Hotline League at Rift Rivals. Mark, I know this is the first time you've heard about it, but just so you know,
We're doing a what?
we're looking into doing. Mostly people haven't made it to this end of the VOD or the podcast, but so this will be secret still. But there's a chance we're going to do a live Hotline League at Rift Rivals.
Who's like is Riot wants us to do
No,
that?
Alienware.
Oh, okay.
It wouldn't be at the studio, but it would be close by.
Right. When you said at Rift Rivals, that's where I got confused.
Oh yeah,
You're
yeah.
saying
Sorry.
For Rift Rivals. Okay.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun.
All right.
Either way, thanks so much to everyone. Thanks to Jesse for coming on. Go like this YouTube video. Jesus Christ. All right. That's it.